Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Dr. Michael Osit, psychologist and author of Generation Text, Raising Well-Adjusted Kids in an Age of Instant Everything. Hi, Michael. Is it Michael or Mike? Which do you prefer?
Michael.
Michael, thanks for being on the show. Well, I'm beginning to think well-adjusted kids is almost an oxymoron. Are there any left?
They're out there, yes.
They're out there, you have to search.
We have to create them.
Okay, let's take it slowly, piece by piece. You talk about the difficulty of rearing kids in today's moment, and you say, you know, Michael, it was always difficult to rear kids. Are you saying that technology has made it harder?
Absolutely, it's made it harder.
In what way?
Well, today, the magnitude of the messages and what the kids are exposed to is just tremendous. They're bombarded with messages, with internet access, access to each other, access to the world. You know, it used to be, talk about the old days, which, had its own difficulties.
That's why I said parenting was never an easy role.
But think about this. In the old days, it flashed on the television screen. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your child is? And my parents could answer, yes, he's up in his room.
Right.
Nowadays, they answer, yes, he's up in his room, and all over the world.
Exactly. Right, exactly. Well, which brings us then to the next point. In an age of instant everything, you're talking about being hooked up all the time. Your parents answered, yes, he's in his room. Maybe you were reading, you might be doing your homework, but chances are you weren't engaged in anything too harmful when you were up in your room at 10 o'clock at night.
Chances are.
You can't say that today when kids are up in their room because it's hard to know what is going on with the internet. How do parents get a handle on that?
Well, so you're saying that there's more peril and more danger when they're alone now.
Well, am I correct when I say that? You're the expert. I'm not.
You're absolutely right. There is more danger, and many parents have to do many things. One is they have to really establish an open, communicative relationship with their kids, even more importantly than it used to be. They have to stay abreast with what's going on with technology. They have to know what their kids know. This is the first generation that really knows more than their parents, and that's a very scary thing.
So are you saying that they should be peeking into the room, spying, going on their website, denying access to their website? This is getting their money's worth. Let's tell parents specifically what you think that they should be doing about that.
Well, it's no different than when your child starts to drive and you impose limits and boundaries to keep them safe.
Correct.
Yes, you have to monitor them. First of all, maybe the computer shouldn't be in their room. It should be in a community or public place in the home.
That's an idea. So some kind of a room downstairs where there's more access.
Exactly. So parents can discreetly observe and monitor what is happening.
Some families I see have something called a computer room, where all the family members have their computers in one room. You think that's a good idea?
I think that is a good idea, yes. That's another way to monitor.
And what about the sites where they can set firewalls where kids can't get onto certain sites?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Like blocking access to some sites.
What you're saying is that there should be parental controls. I think there should be parental controls. Most internet service providers provide certain parental controls that can be instituted, and then there's lots of software that parents need to buy that not just monitor what the kids are doing, but they actually are keystroking programs where they can actually really tell what they're saying to each other, IMing and emailing.
This IMing, this text messaging, it seems to be an epidemic. Teenagers, well, some adults too for that matter, even text message while they're driving. What is it that's such a fascination with always being hooked up to something?
Yeah, well, they're fascinated and they're hooked up to text messaging.
And is that in the DNA as kids are born these days? What accounts for it?
No, this is a very socially aware generation, and so they have access to each other that way. I really am having trouble understanding why they would text versus call.
Yeah, I am
and
too.
Many kids can't tell me, except if it's just for your information, I'll meet you at 7 o'clock, then they text. But some kids want to avoid personal conversations, live conversations.
Is that healthy?
No, it's not. It's dangerous, and it's not developing appropriate social skills either.
Right. It's almost crippling kids for later life conversations. I mean, I'm told, I don't have it happen in my house, that in the same house, people text parents text kids, and they're in the same house. Like instead of walking in and saying, "Hey, how about having come to dinner night?" They're texting, "Dinner's ready." Right. I mean, why?
Because it's easier. They text each other because it's easier. That has to do with the work ethic, which is something that parents are very concerned about. Employers are concerned about the work ethic.
As they well should be.
It's really deteriorating. I
can't tell you how many emails I get in my office from people that have sent it to me on their office time. So I'm thinking to myself, if you're sending me stuff you're sending it to me, oh my God, who else are you sending it to on office time? My own family included.
And that's a different generation that you're talking about in office time. I'm talking about these kids coming up now, whereas in the last 18 years, which is one generation, in the last 18 years, cell phone subscribers, for example, have gone from about 4 million to 254 million.
Or more.
And 40 to 50% of that increase lately in the last few years are teenagers. This is all they know. And texting is all they know. IMing is what they know. Surfing the net is what they know.
You know, in today's New York Times, I think it was said that there's a feeling that after the late 80s, so it's a little bit more than the generation you're talking about, maybe early 20s, that kids have, or people in that age group have a different value system than we might think, or their parents might think of. That they're born almost with a different value set. Do you buy into that?
I don't
from your experiences?
The value set that you're talking about, they're not born into. This is one of the largest concerns of parents today. Parents have a feeling or a sense that they're losing control over their kids. And I don't mean control, power, and authority control, although there's some of that too. They're losing control to the battle of the influence of technology giving the kids access and giving them excess, too much in terms of privileges and possessions. They're battling those values that they're being bombarded with. They're trying to instill their own family values. And it's more of a challenge now because there's more exposure.
Does all of this account for this sort of sense of entitlement? There's almost a sense of entitlement about younger people that not it's a privilege or a luxury to have it, but it's almost like I'm entitled to have it.
Absolutely, and that's part of the problem with the work ethic and the need for immediate gratification. They want what they want. They want the latest, they want the best, and they want it now. And they don't know the difference sometimes between need and want. Right. I need an iPod, not I want an iPod.
Right, exactly. And I have a friend who says that her grandchildren get on Sunday, which they first think about wanting on Monday. That's how fast the parents are.
Absolutely.
But before we give some, and I want to give some real tips, and your book Generation Text had them. I want to ask you about this term that I've been reading about, cyberbully.
Yes.
I mean, I know what a bully is. I know what a schoolyard bully is. But cyberbully, I can guess what it is. But it sounds pretty dangerous to me.
Cyberbullying is very, very dangerous.
And we know of some quite serious, including a death not that long ago, serious criminal acts that have come about because of that.
Yes. You're referring to the cyberbullying that was done actually by a parent.
Yes,
yes. Not even a child.
Not even a child. It was a parent. That made it even more outrageous.
Right. Now, your concern about cyberbullying is a very real concern. Once a week, in my practice, I encounter cyberbullying. Yesterday, I encountered cyberbullying. What the kids do is they create a web page, and it's a defamation web page to talk about how bad or how inappropriate or how nerdy or how rejecting you should be of a particular child. And they make hit lists sometimes on web pages.
But you know, just jumping ahead, and then I went back to email in general. I have a feeling that people, certainly family members, and I've been on the receiving end of some of these emails, they say on an email what they wouldn't dare say to anybody in person. It's like riding with a mask on. Right.
When people email, there's a certain anonymity, disinhibition that they experience. 12-year-old girl, this is an IM conversation. was conversing with very explicit sexual talk with a 13-year-old boy. Now, when the parent discovered that, I saw the girl, and when I was talking to her, and I asked her how she felt about it, and would you actually say that those kinds of things in person, she immediately said, "Oh, no." So it makes it almost okay because it's anonymous almost.
Right, almost.
It's dangerous.
Okay, so you wrote the book, Raising Well-Adjusted Kids in an Age of Innocence, and we've had discussions about what this age of innocence and everything is, but yet you go one step further, which is, I admire, you have some practical tips. So let's go, in the few minutes that we have left, I want to go into those tips. The number one thing that parents should do.
The number one thing that parents should do is make sure they stay abreast with the technology, that they're not left in the dust as the kids just adjust the new technology, because it gives them layers of privacy, of insulation from their parents, so the kids could be negatively
influenced. So they should try to keep up technically.
Right. They have to stay in the loop. They have to know what the latest fads are, what the new teen idols are.
So keep up and know what's going on.
They have to really reestablish or establish very early on rules and boundaries and limits regarding the use of technology.
So it's no different than any other rules that you establish in your household.
In some ways, it's no different.
But you know, I guess, is it okay for me to say that parents should be what they're supposed to be, a parent and not a friend?
Absolutely. The parents should be parents, not a friend.
Right. I always tell my son, who's a young baby, I said, father starts with F. The fact that friend does too is only coincidental. Right. Go ahead. Next.
Okay. Parents have to step back and really reevaluate and gain perspective and balance. There's a lack of perspective and balance with this particular culture of parenting.
How do you teach balance?
First of all, you have to realize it's imbalanced. For example,
so you start out with the fact that their life is imbalanced.
Not their life, what they're allowing their kids to do and what they're allowing their kids to have. Okay. Spa parties at 7 years old, for example.
Exactly. So bring things back to some sense of really normalcy. I hate to use that word, but that's what I'm talking about. And we have 1 minute left. This next, really sum it up, the best thing as a summary statement.
Okay. The best thing in a summary statement to combat the perils of our society, of our culture of access and excess for kids, is to reemphasize a sense of belonging to the family, so that the family values can really be adopted by the kids.
Exactly. So go back to square one with family.
Yes, and using technology to do it.
Okay, so thank you for being on the show, Michael. I just want to say you're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. Our guest is Dr. Michael Osit, and what we've discussed here is good news, bad news. Good news, technology is helping us. Bad news, it's just like anything else, it has to be controlled by the parent. I'm Judith West. Thanks for watching.